You said fly out to video,
Yeah.
come back, edit.
My full-time job and my creative passion. Content creation and for nonprofits and small businesses is really hard. There are a lot of things about my style of filmmaking now that if you look back through the videos of YVC, I had the foundations here.
Welcome back to the Service Matters podcast. Today with Brandon Davis, who's a Bonner Service Scholar that graduated in 2022 with a marketing degree in photography and video art minor. He served with YVC for 4 years, 2 of them during COVID, and is currently the lead videographer for a leadership development company and working on passion projects in his free time. So, yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, how long has it been since you've been back in the building? Back
In
YVC?
the building. It's been a year and a half, and it looks exactly the same. Yeah.
Perfect. That's what we want.
Yes, the continuity of YVC is pretty astounding.
When you were at YVC, were you able to do any sort of videography? Like, because you clearly went into that. Were you able to use any of those skills here?
Yeah, YVC is kind of where I found my footing of even
Okay.
being interested in photography.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the first time I took a picture ever with a camera was at a YVC project. It was at Soundscapes. And this is where I kind of practiced trying different videos. I made slideshows and then started like doing different things with just video as a whole with everything.
Nice.
And so yeah, YVC was really where Katie Morgan just like let me try things and and I would just like try as much as I could and yeah. So yes, definitely, 100%. I give all of my startup to YVC.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what we're doing. We're doing the YVC videography and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah,
Lots
that's
of-
really cool.
Lots of struggles along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, YVC always is about like, you know, serving youth and like building up youth. And so having, you know, a youth media team to be,
Yeah.
you know, learning about technology and learning about audio and video in this time where content and creation is like at an all-time high of
Yeah.
human existence. And so it's really cool to see, you know, young people learning more about this technical skill that they can use in their lives, whether for fun or for professionally. So it's right on brand of YVC.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah, YVC is really good at doing that. Like, there's a lot more roles filled by youth than I thought. Like, obviously, because it's a youth volunteer place, they're going to be youth volunteering. But they're just doing a lot more than I imagined, you know?
Yeah. Like what?
Like, they have a whole advisory board, which is just, like, youth. So they get together all the time, and they're the ones who run events. Like, they have the parent there, obviously, as the, you know, guide. But they're doing most of the stuff. They're doing the hands-on work and all the cool stuff.
Yeah. Just wait till you hear about IYAB, International Youth Advisory
He
Board.
hasn't heard about
I
that.
know, yeah. You'll really be shocked.
I haven't made it that far up yet.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Yeah, Zach's he's new to YVC.
Yeah.
He joined in the creation of the media team.
I did.
So, yeah.
Executive producer,
Wow.
a part
Well-
of the media team,
No,
actually.
no, you're actually.
It's quite the label.
assistant Executive producer.
Oh, okay,
Assistant
okay.
to.
We're
Yes.
still working out the
Assistant to
title.
the executive producer. Yeah, okay. I understand.
Yeah.
still working out titles
Yeah.
and stuff, but you know.
That's cool. What about you? How long you been in YVC?
Well, father here worked with YVC a long time ago, so I've done service projects with YVC for a long time, but really got involved early this year when the media team kind of started. So that's when I got more involved
Yeah.
and stuff. So, yeah, relatively new team.
Yeah.
That's cool. What are some of the projects that you like doing?
Yeah, so I actually went to Summit last year, the last Summit, so I got to experience all of that,
Yeah.
do
good
that.
energy.
And then the respite night I did.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
To see.
Was that the one at the trampoline
Yeah.
place?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, well, it's such fun things you can be doing. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of fun stuff did you guys do when you were at YVC? What
Oh,
was like
man.
a big best moments?
You know, I spent like the 3 years that I was really with YVC, just doing like a lot of the service projects. Like I think I did every single project like at least like 2 or 3 times. I did like the food bank, the respite nights. The respite nights was like my bread and butter. Like I did that so frequently. I did, I did like all sorts of projects with YVC. Which ones? There were a lot of food drives. I've done some weird ones that we don't do anymore. There was one that was just like, we've done just some really incredible ones, projects. But I think my favorite one was probably,
The suspense building.
I know.
This is great.
I'm like thinking really hard about the projects that we used to. You
That's
know
what we
what?
want.
Bowling. I really enjoyed bowling. It was just so fun. Like consistently, you get to meet the players and just like form relationships with them. It was really. I really enjoyed bowling.
That seems to be like a staple here. I would
Yeah.
say most everyone has done at least
Sure.
once. You know.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't done bowling. I don't
Wow.
know.
Oh
how to do
yeah.
that.
Well, all right, Mr. Executive Producer.
Yeah.
You got your hands full.
That's what I'm saying. I'm too busy with all this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll get in. How did you get involved with YVC initially?
Yeah. So I was a Bonner Service Scholar when I was in school. So what that is, it's a service organization at Christopher Newport University that is dedicated to consistent and meaningful service. So rather than volunteering at a bunch of different places like once, we find a service site or a nonprofit to serve with on a consistent basis. And so it's a 4-year-long program, and each year you do about 300 hours of community service at said location. So freshman year I had found and I decided to join YVC, and I loved it. I loved being hands-on in the community. I loved learning about the different areas of the community. It really had the opportunity to like explore to the different areas and places that I never would have been to otherwise, right? And I loved that. And I really enjoyed like working with young people, because being around young people, there's an energy around young people that doesn't exist elsewhere. Like it's just so like fun.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed leading the teams and being a team leader. And so, that was my freshman year of college. So 2018, I found YVC, and then I was with them until I graduated 2022.
So you didn't?
Nice.
Did you know about YVC before college and high school and stuff? No.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you wish you did?
I was a part of a similar program in high school. It was called Interact, but it was like through my school.
Oh, okay.
It was a little bit. YVC is really committed to service learning, and that was something that we didn't really do in my clubs in high school. We kind of would go and we would serve, and that would kind of be it. And so I really enjoyed that about YVC and the opportunities to get involved elsewhere, like Youth Advisory Board and IAB, for those of us that know. And so I do think I would have totally been involved and would have loved to be a part of an organization like this when I was younger.
Yeah.
But being able to, guide and support other youth through my college and kind of be a part of their experiences was really powerful and really cool.
Yeah, we actually had a podcast with Miss Bielman a couple of weeks ago. So we actually were talking about the Bonner Scholarship Service Program. And so I just want to ask you, how'd you get involved with that, and how'd you end up going to CNU in the first place?
Yeah. CNU, I kind of went for Bonner. I had found it when I was just like researching some different service opportunities, and I found it and I applied, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I barely read the application before submitting something. At the time, I think I was a little more like, whatever. So I just signed up and I interviewed, and when I got in, I realized like, oh, this is really cool. And like the people here are really just like energized and are really just like-minded. And so that was when I decided I want to come to CNU because I love what this program has to offer. And so, yeah, it was really the Bonner program that brought me here. And then, it was like the staple of my 4 years at CNU. I absolutely just loved it and loved my experience. And some of my best friends are from the program. And
Nice.
I wouldn't look back. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that you've kind of found how much you loved videography and everything through YVC. So what have you been able to do after YVC? So you know, I started your career, so what?
Yeah. So I graduated in 2022.
Okay.
And I have been working for this company doing full-time. I'm a full-time videographer, and I have done all sorts of different things since leaving YVC, and since graduating college. I don't even know how to, I guess, sum it up. I work full time as a remote videographer. So I work from home. I do all my editing at home, which is great. And then I'll fly out to film. And so there are a lot of things about my style of filmmaking now that if you look back through the videos of YVC, I kind of like had the foundations here. Like the 10-year anniversary gala, which is crazy. The 15-year anniversary is coming up soon.
We need to get the storyboard on that.
Yeah,
We just started.
for sure. So I made the 10-year anniversary gala video, and the way I did that is similar to how I'm editing now, but it was like the framework of how I edited that has gotten me to where I'm at now. And so like if you just like look at that and then imagine a little bit better, much better, a lot better, then you'll see where I'm at now, and you can see the comparison. So like that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm making all sorts of different videos, but like the context on the content of the video doesn't really matter. The way I do things and how I've done them and how I've learned them started here with like the leadership and the guidance and the experimentation of working on cam structure videos and working on, promotional videos for all sorts of YVC related projects and things like that. So yeah.
So I'm curious, can you talk about one of the projects you've worked on? Because you said you like fly out for the video, come back, edit.
Yeah.
It's like contracted work. Like you get like hired. By
so
people?
I work for a company and I'm full time for them. And so it's a leadership coaching company. We do leadership workshops and leadership one-on-one coaching, and we do like blah 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 and blah blah blah. It's all around leadership. It's interesting. It's cool. I'm learning a lot about leadership and what kind of leader I want to be and whatnot. But I've been traveling out for the company because I start working with clients that we have. So one of our clients is the Association of School Business Officers. So it's like a nonprofit that works solely with people that work in schools that are not teachers. So like finance people, accountants, all the people that make the schools run. And that's private school, public school, K through 12, anybody within that. And so I recently flew out to San Diego to film that event, and we were the ones speaking at the event. And so then I was like filming kind of like a recap video for the event. I was filming some interviews. I filmed like my bosses, my team was speaking, so I was filming a lot of video of them speaking so that I could then make social media videos and make other content that I then turn into all sorts of different stuff. So like I just made a speaker reel for my boss, like a compilation of some of the best moments of her speaking live. And with that speaker reel, I then pulled in testimonials from, all sorts of other projects. And I pulled in like, motion graphics that I custom made and like all sorts of different stuff. But that's like one use of this footage. I'm going to use this footage for social media posts for the next like 6 months, and I'll use it for a recap. If I want to make like the company I work for, we're called Lead Star. So if I wanted to make like a who is Lead Star video, like I can pull this footage and use it for that, all sorts of stuff. So One of the things YVC taught me was how to use footage, how to recycle stuff and find uses for things, because content creation and for nonprofits and small businesses is really hard because it's so expensive and it's so time consuming. And so it's really tough to be, repeating the same thing or like redoing things in a timely manner and in a cost effective way. And so like that was one of the things I had to really learn, was how to do that. That was a complete thought. I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean, this might be a really vague question. What I'm really interested in is, what's your process? So you get to these places you've been hired, and they're like, okay, so we want you to film the video of people speaking, or like you mentioned, the speaker, whatever
like
it is.
Like an event recap.
Yeah, exactly. Really anything. And you go in and you're setting up your camera and everything. So what's your process between like, okay, I want to get this shot, I'm gonna set it up. Like, what are you thinking about?
I would say a lot of it starts in like the planning and the pre-production. So thinking through ahead of time, what am I trying to do? Why am I here? Where am I going with this? And then similar to project planning. Wow, look at that. So a lot of it comes with the pre-production and getting myself organized around the purpose of what I'm doing. And then I'll get there. And by then, I have already know kind of what I'm trying to do. And it just depends on the setting that I'm in. Okay. I'm going to step away from like the corporate projects, because that's okay. But one of the projects that I made senior year of college was a documentary short called Coal Blooded. And it was on the coal facility in Southeast Newport News and its effects on the community. So that was like my capstone project. That was my accumulation of all of my time serving with YVC, serving with Bonner, just like exploring Newport News, getting to know people. I did some interviews. I interviewed the mayor, a couple residents and activists, a professor, and put together this video. I gathered a bunch of footage. I flew my drone by the facility. I did all sorts of different stuff over the course of like 3 months. For that project, I did a lot of research and thinking, what am I trying to accomplish? What even is this facility? And then when I started filming, it was like filling the gaps in my brain of what this thing is. The whole time I was filming, I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew the questions I was going to ask. I had, a list of the questions I wanted to ask, and I had research that I had already done. But while I was filming, I was still learning, getting a sense of how things work, right? And then as I started editing, that's where things started to kind of like click for me. And I was able to kind of put the story of the audio on a page. It's kind of, we're talking about editing, and I don't know how much of, when you were working on the can structure video, how much of it was like, add some audio, add some visual, add some audio, add some visual. Is that kind of like how you were doing it through?
Yeah. I was really resonating with what you said about how you're filling in the gaps, because I think we had like a storyboard or a plan of the shots. Okay, this is what we want, whatever, from can structure.
It's a great storyboard.
And we get there, and it's like, you don't necessarily know what it's going to look like, how things are going to go, whatever, the logistics of it. So it's kind of like, filling in those gaps of, this is what it really is. You know what I mean? And then I think, even in the editing process, it's like one more layer of, how does this all fit together now into one coherent story?
So with the storyboard, what I've found is, if you go in, my mentor told me this early on. If you come out with the same story that you went in with, then you weren't listening. And so you can plan, you can prep, you can write everything down that you think the story is. And once you come out, if you were really listening, that story will shift. It will change. You will get a better understanding of what's going on from the people actually experiencing whatever it is. Okay. Can structure specifically. Going in, people are building things with cans. You don't know where they're going to be, but a general idea of a storyboard. You're going to need shots of the cans, shots of the structures,
Yeah.
close-ups of people laughing. I love a good laughing video.
You're describing exactly what our storyboard was.
Yeah,
We
right?
think they're gonna be cans and
Yep,
people.
Cans, people, wide shots, medium shots, tight shots.
Yeah.
And then anything that happens, award ceremonies, stuff like that. That's kind of like how I approach storyboards right now. Hopefully in a couple years I will have changed it a little bit, but it's kind of like when you start editing, you start to really find that story,
Okay.
and that's one of the reasons why I love editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of my part. So I'll start to work it through. I'll add the audio, and I'll cut the audio to fit a narrative that is true to the experiences told, but also true to kind of what I'm trying to accomplish. And then I will add the visuals. So the visuals almost always come after for me, because the audio is like the most important part of what's being said. And then the visuals should back up the audio with what you see.
Okay.
And that kind of helps me in like, if I'm trying to do audio and video at the same time, my brain is working 1,000,000 miles an hour and I got a headache. Like, that doesn't work for me. So that's kind of the way I do it. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
20. Okay. Audio. Okay. I had never done that before working just with, but I see what you're saying, kind of, because it is like you're reading a book. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In your podcast, right? You're just kind of listening to it. Okay, yeah, and then the visuals after. That's something I've actually thought about too. Is like, how do you tell the story? Not just like, first Jim walked down the stairs and went outside, but like, you know what I mean? Like showing the story rather than, and like showing it through the emotions rather than just telling what happened. You know what I mean? So it's kind of something I've been thinking about too. I don't know how you kind of dealt with that.
Yeah. Well, there's certain things that you can kind of let a viewer kind of understand for themselves without showing or saying, or without saying. You can just kind of show it and people will kind of get the sense of it. And I try to err on the side of like trusting that my viewers are like smart and can piece things together if they're paying attention. So yeah, there's like a lot of different ways to go. But the other thing is like you can put something on the screen for so quickly and people will get it. Like if I flash a picture of an eagle, you're like, boom, that's an eagle. You don't need to, stare at it for longer than a split second. Especially can structure, you can do like quick cuts and people will get it without having to hold too much space on the screen for too long. So that was one of the things I learned early on is people can understand things really fast.
That was something we were kind of like, my dad and I were kind of playing a game of when we watch stuff, how fast they cut, you know what I mean? And you count, and it'll be like a commercial, or whatever, like super high production, and they're cutting every
second.
Seconds, right?
Yeah.
It's just constant. Even if it's the same thing, you're seeing it from a different angle, or you're seeing something. So I think that's,
we're doing that at like the can structure that we just did. We were talking about that beforehand on a storyboard. We were like, okay, we want to have like quick cuts to show different this thing and just be like more dynamic, really, of the can structure. And then we get there and we're doing the shots and we're like, this is so, we're moving around and we're walking through this entire mall, just back and forth. We couldn't count how many times we walked back and forth between the one side of the mall and the other side.
Yep.
So when you're recording, do you ever have like those big areas do you ever find it like tedious, like getting all these different shots? Or is it just?
I think it's, I think once I start to get kind of one of the shots, I tend to like, that's an interesting question.
Nice, interesting question.
It can get a little repetitive. I film a lot of weddings. It gets really repetitive.
No, I'm sure.
Sometimes I like forget. I'm like, oh yeah, I already got this shot, and I'm like, no, I didn't. That was the last wedding. There's definitely times where it can get a little.
Can't really interlace footage there.
Yeah, yeah, right. What's going on? Yeah, but so actually, I'm curious for you guys as starting this media team. What is it that you are hoping to accomplish, and what what are you hoping to accomplish with this?
Well, I know we've talked about we really want our team to be like big enough, but mostly efficient enough that whenever there's anything going on, we can send out people and get really like good footage to then show all of YVC and then tons of other people what YVC is all about and what we've been doing. So like almost like a newsletter, but a video newsletter of what YVC's been doing. So we want to have that efficiency and that quick, like we can just go out and do it rather than us two walking around the mall for hours being like, okay, did we get this? Let's just do it. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
that's my goal.
I always think about like when I always think about it like you eat a really good meal. You know what I mean? And you feel full and it's satisfying. And you're like after the meal you're like, oh, that was good. You know what I mean? And so I have this idea in my head, right? And I feel like I've like watched stuff like this where after it feels like, oh, that was art. That was good. You know what I mean?
We do that a bunch. We like watch a video. We're like, okay, how did they make this that we want to keep watching it? Like, you know, Mark Rober on YouTube. He's just some YouTuber that films his own stuff. And before the Ken structure, we were watching one of his videos and like, how is he so engaging? And we're trying to, I think we're really trying to get that engagement. Like that's our first step right now.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. That's not. Yeah, I've thought about that too. Of like, okay, what are we trying to do? And I think it is like that like, oh, that was good.
Who's your audience? Is it youth, adults, parents?
We have been talking about this a lot.
Yeah, fair.
So, I think what we've decided is that we really want to show parents what can happen when their youth gets involved. So we want to show your youth can grow and you have these connections that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. But then we also want to have some stuff where the youth can see, oh, that's interesting, and I might want to get involved with that. So I think we have two different kinds of audiences for two different types of stuff we're doing. So this kind of podcast might be more targeted to the people who are driving the long hours to work, so like the parents and stuff. But then we have the short form, like YouTube Shorts and all these quick cut videos that we've been doing that the youth might be more interested in.
Yeah.
So at least that's what I've interpreted our audience as. If we're disagreeing on that, then that's pretty bad.
That's very good. Yeah, we've actually talked a lot about that.
A lot more than we're setting up now.
No, that's fair. I mean, those are, I guess, like two of the most fundamental questions when you're starting to do something like this, right? That's cool. Where do you guys see? You know, you kind of got into this for the media team.
Yeah.
You guys are both sophomores? We're great.
I'm a junior.
You're a junior, okay, and then you're a sophomore. What do you guys see your role in YVC, you know, progressing to? Do you want to join YAB or like, you know, maybe one day be a team leader or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see like the YVC story. It's actually interesting because as we've talked to multiple people who have been involved in this, right, in all sorts of different perspectives, all sorts of different ways. And I think of it as this one big story of YVC. That's kind of like YVC is bringing these people together to accomplish something that wouldn't have ordinarily been accomplished. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's a pretty powerful story. So I think that's something that needs to be shared, or that should be shared, really. And so I think, I think that's kind of why we're in existence, right? To share the story of YVC.
And I mean, I don't see why we can't, like, if like once we keep doing this, we've been doing it for more months and we're not, you know, just starting, and we can get like representatives like one of us on YAB, for example, and in like as a team leader leading like the video side of YVC, because I feel like that's such an important part of tons of stuff right now, because you were talking about how we're in the golden age of the kind of media we're able to put out. There's just so much accessibility to all that. So I think we want to just be more integrated, like once we get more efficient, like I was talking about before.
What do you think? What do you see? Or in your time here,
in the professional's eyes.
With you know, I know you made a lot of content for YVC. What was kind of your take on that?
Yeah, I think, one, as a team leader, I was a team leader for 4 years, and I think there is a lot of value in reaching youth that we kind of did a mix. Most of the videos I made were probably more so for the adults, and then I started seeing recently, within the past like year, the videos on like TikTok and Instagram Reels and stuff like that I think are like really fun and that are reaching more of like the youth, which I think is really valuable for an organization like this that relies on youth interaction, right? And so it's been cool to see the different ways that people have kind of navigated. I think something like this would be really cool to incorporate, I guess, like people's, I guess if you could interview maybe alumni that have been a part of YVC. There's a few off the top of my head that I'm thinking of, and talk to them about their experience, and then use this for I don't know. I guess it just depends on if you're doing a podcast to like engage with a community, right? Like that's kind of why people typically do podcasts. You would want to, what is the community you want to engage with? Is it the kids that are going to be a part of it? Is it going to be the teachers that are running the programs? Because if it's the kids, then it would need to be like really just like high energy and fun and silly.
And there'd be some brain rot kind of stuff.
Yeah. But I think this would be really good to get people in touch with like what you're doing, but also provide a platform to like you said, tell the full story of YVC and to connect alumni and community members that you work with, like food bank and whatnot, and then alumni team leaders and past like Lori, past like executive directors, and like kind of tie everything together in a way that allows people to, if they want to know about like YVC and who is a part of YVC and like what that story is, and then you could cut that content into like shorter form clips for all sorts of stuff. So I think it's cool what you guys are doing. I think it's a good opportunity to educate people on what's happening, and I think that if you keep going, then I would say, how could you maybe incorporate some of the youth that are currently a part of the program? Could you go to, YVC club meetings and, pull somebody out and talk to them there? Or could you, go to an actual event and have a podcast like in the front of the, like nothing that you really uses power except for the audio, but you could figure out a way around it and like actually have like the event in the background while you guys are talking about something. I don't know. Like,
I know we talked about that where we wanted to go out and we wanted to like interview the people in YVC, like the actual youth, and show that there's more than just like what it used to be.
And I think it also depends on what time frame. Like if right after can structure, interviewing people about can structure. Right after can structure, interviewing the people that got the food bank, interviewing them right afterwards, right? Before or after summer of service, interviewing like somebody that was a part of summer of service, and like how did it go and whatnot, and then going to summer of service, getting some footage. I think there's a lot of ways that you guys can do it, but I think it's cool. I think this is a really good start, and it's kind of the biggest thing is just to start. So,
we've definitely learned a lot from our first time doing it. Like our first day, it was a lot rockier than it is now.
Sure.
It's still not like smooth.
Pulling out the table, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Where are we going here? Yeah.
Do we hold the microphone? Where's the mic go?
Yeah. No, you'll get the hang of it.
Yeah.
And
30.
Does that mean? What does that mean?
How much time do you got?
I'm chilling. Whatever you guys want.
I did want to ask you. This is a little off topic, but kind of more the video side. What do you think about Gimbal versus Handheld?
You're talking about this forever.
Oh yeah, I have a gimbal. I never use it unless I have a specific shot that I want to be really smooth. I always go handheld.
Really?
Because there's some techniques that actually I was watching some of the can structure footage and I was like, I want to give these guys some techniques with handheld. But once you kind of get the hang of going handheld, I love the ability to change my settings on the go. I love the ability to zoom like right whenever I want to, however I want to, and get down into really weird angles easier than with the gimbal. And the gimbal is only really necessary if I'm walking. If I'm walking down the aisle and the person's like, they're doing their first kiss or whatever, and like I need a really smooth shot, then that works for the gimbal. Or if I'm trying to do something crazy, like then that's for the gimbal. But if I'm just like, just filming an event, I like to be mobile, and gimbals are heavy. I always go handheld. Yeah, always. But like I said, there's some techniques that I can show you that that are really good to get some smoother shots. And definitely no gimbal.
So what do you think about
dated
warp stabilize?
I never use it unless it's already a stable object. And the computer can easily see there are clear lines that I'm trying to line it up with. But if it's not that, it just makes everything crazy. Yeah. I don't use any of that. My lens is stabilized and my camera body stabilized. So it helps a little bit, but really I hold it underneath and I hold it tight to me and I stay steady and I hold my breath.
Okay.
I'll give you more tips after, but I really just go handheld. Yeah. People are used to seeing some motion. It's not a crazy thing.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Maybe in the past it was weird, but now, people watch The Office. When I first started watching that, I got a headache. Cause there's just so much camera movement. But people are used to it now. So
that's a good point.
You can put some crazy shakes up in a video.
We have some crazy shakes.
They're intentional.
Yeah. Intentional shakes.
Creative liberties.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, I guess we'll ask the final question.
The final question.
Yeah.
The final.
It's a big one.
Can't wait.
All right, take it away, Zach.
Okay.
The final question.
We like finishing always. We ask the person, what does the service way mean to you? Take that how you will.
The service way. I think the service way of, I guess, interacting with people. The service way, man. I would say the service way would mean to me how you choose to interact with others to support the success of people outside of yourself. That's kind of I think that there is a lot of ways that you can be of service to others, and it doesn't look like one thing, and it's not one specific way. It's just the method, the process of serving the needs and supporting the needs of a community, of a person, and that can look however it looks like to you. For me, it looked like serving hands-on and making videos. But for you, it might look like making a spreadsheet and helping organize the finances for a nonprofit.
That sounds lovely.
It sounds so good. Yeah. So I think the service way to me would be finding the way in which you serve others to support their success.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for this.
Yeah.
This was great.
For interviews, also, my favorite question to end on is, do you have any lingering things that you would want to say about blank, about Katie, about YVC, about your service here? That's what I always say. Do you have any last thoughts that you feel like you really want to share to wrap up our conversation about boom? And almost always people say some really good things.
Do you have any lingering thoughts?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say. No, I would say
You just really want
Youth
to be asked
Volunteer Corps. Yeah, I really wanted to be asked. Youth Volunteer Corps of Hampton Roads gave me an opportunity to explore something that is now my full-time job and my creative passion. And I am so grateful to the leadership here for trusting me and encouraging me to explore and to try new things. And that is what I've seen them do on a consistent basis across all youth in the community, is allow people to try new things and allow you guys to be here playing with cameras and like explore different things that they would be interested in that genuinely truly has application outside of the outside of school and can land you great opportunities in the future. And like there's no better time than now to get started with YVC and start, serving your community and learning about like the different work that the community partners across Hampton Roads can do, and how you can find your way to serve with them. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Great question from us.
Yeah, it's a really good question that I'm so glad that you asked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Cut. Boom.